My name is Dan Powell. I am the Director of Community Platforms here in Central IT. Presenting with me today, I have two of my colleagues, James Tucherone and Mike Van Emenes. And we're going to talk to you a little bit about the technologies that we offer that you can use to engage with your community. How many of you were able to see Nate Nickerson this morning and talking about audience insights? Very cool. So a lot of the technologies that I'm going to be talking about, the data of which will give you insight into what your community experience actually is. And once you have that data, then you can turn around, you can make better decisions about the experience that you want somebody to have with your department or your school or unit. And you can start to create that experience for them based on what they need. This is a bit of a forward-looking picture. You will see the large Salesforce piece in the middle. That is mainly because that is our chosen CRM here on campus. How many of you are Salesforce users now? We've got okay, there we go. So it's a really cool thing. So this represents where we're trying to get to. Once we start to knit together all of these different technologies, they feed into that Salesforce CRM, and that CRM is what's going to be able to generate that 360-degree view of what somebody's experience is here on campus. It's not necessarily where we're at today. Where we are at today is we have Salesforce as a CRM layer, and it consumes all of the data from all of our upstream systems of record. And so everybody that we communicate with in the Yale community gets channeled into this CRM layer. As well as anybody that is interested in our content around the globe gets channeled into the CRM layer, and then that layer feeds Marketing Cloud or Yale Message, which is our digital engagement platform, which Mike Van Emenes is going to talk to you about in just a minute. But there's also other periphery technologies that we offer here at Yale that we're just starting now to pull into and integrate with Salesforce. So Cvent, which is our conferencing. Cvent was the technology that organized today's conference, the digital conference. And Qualtrics as a survey tool also integrates in with Salesforce, as do the other technologies that we're going to talk to you about today. So this is our actual agenda for today. So I'm going to start off talking to you a little bit about what we do on the customer relationship management, and I recognize that we are an institution, a university. We do not have customers. Customer relationship management is the industry's word for it, but please feel free to substitute that C for colleague or constituent or community. Then I'm going to hand off to Mike Van Emenes, and he's going to talk to you about digital engagement using Yale Message. And then James Tucherone is going to take us the rest of the way and talk to us about calendar and events, room reservation systems, and survey here on campus. So starting off with customer relationship management, this is really the heart of the understanding of what what the community's experience is that you serve. You notice it on the other page as being that center focal point. It tracks all the interactions in conjunction with your business process. So it doesn't have to be around people. It can certainly, it's commonly around people, but it can also be between assets, like equipment located in rooms or people attending events. It's very flexible, and it's flexible to meet your business process. You might be thinking, it's like, okay, but I track interactions today anyway. And so do I. You've got Outlook. People, we hear a lot about Excel. Outlook, hey, I also group my emails and conversations so I can see who's talking to when and what that response part has been. But when we talk about CRM, we talk about taking those conversations and then we put them in context of what your business process is. So like if you have a study, for example, and say you have a team that's working on this study, you're having this email conversation with somebody. Is that at the beginning of that process? Is it in the middle of that process? Is it at the end of that process? So it can put those conversations into context of what your business process is and what you're trying to accomplish. The other thing with Outlook is those are conversations that are just between you and somebody and might exclude the rest of your team that's working on it. With Outlook, it integrates in with Salesforce. You can actually just assign that assign those email conversations directly into your CRM, and so it tracks it there and it gives visibility to the rest of the team so we all are on the same page walking through the business process. It's very cool, very powerful, but it's about adding that context and that visibility of where someone or something is in their engagement path. We do hear a lot about that Excel spreadsheet the different groups use to track their interactions, and this is just, instead of it being a very flat spreadsheet that's hard to keep up with, this is a many-to-many type of relationship that is more robust and allows you to actually track and have visibility into your process. It's all about process. It's very flexible. We chose Salesforce many years ago, both tactically and strategically. If you think about Yale as an institution, we support many different industries and many different schools and units, and we all have different business processes. So we needed something that could be flexible to adapt to each of those different unique processes, but still being centered around whatever that object is that you're trying to understand better, whether it be a person or an asset or something. And Salesforce gives us that, which is why it's on campus. I'm going to give you a few different examples of instances we have on campus. So this is a really fun one with the psychology department, where they're using Salesforce in a way to understand families and their children and the studies that they are participating in now and historically, as well as showing things like tracking appointments and no-shows and shows. Another example on campus is conferences and events. We'll call this like a CRM plus. With them, what we did is we configured it so that they can track the end-to-end process. So from the time somebody reaches out as a lead to maybe host an event on campus, walking them all the way through the process to the time that they're actually managing the logistics of that event on campus, and it also manages support issues during the event using a case management module. And this one is also another fun example of a CRM on campus. It's for the Yale School of Public Health. If you can imagine Match.com, where you have a lot of students that need mentoring and alumni that might want to act as mentors. And so it takes alumni opting in to be a mentor, creating a profile for themselves, and then allowing the students to come in and research the different alumni that have opted in, and then they can favorite them, and then they can start building their own relationship with their new mentor. It's very fun, very cool, very powerful stuff. And once you have all these types of things within your process documented and you're working through it, you start to have some really rich analytics around that. And once you have those analytics, it gives you even more insight and more understanding about what the possibilities could be to help or to meet your community's needs. So you might be thinking to yourself right now, it's like, gosh, I didn't know all this stuff. I would love to reach out and understand more and see what else we can do. So what is it like to engage with us? So, for us, it's you reach out, and we go through some vetting to make sure that we're understanding which technology is the right choice for the problems that you're trying to have. And so let's say that it does happen to be Salesforce on the CRM side. What we would do is we'd really get to engage with you and really understand what you're doing right now, how you're doing it, and how you want to do it better, and what your goals are. And so once we start to document out that entire process, we all get on the same page with that, and then we configure the tool for you, and it's a whole lot easier to adopt, and we've seen a lot of success with doing that approach. So that's my time, and I'm going to hand this over now to Mike to talk to you about Yale Message. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Who uses Yale Message here? Majority of the room. Who attended our session just before lunch? So some of this might be regurgitation for those people. For other people, welcome. Yale Message is a digital communications platform built on Salesforce. In our current state, we are focusing on two key features. We're focusing on the email studio and Journey Builder. Email Studio is precisely what that is. It's sending email communications to the community. We gather data from our data sources here at Yale, so we connect it into the People Hub, Workday, Hopper, and those lists can be updated as those systems of record are updated. The other portion that we are currently dealing with is Journey Builder. Journey Builder is a really cool feature in that you build a journey for your list of people who you're communicating with. So you would have the list of people, you would set up the journey to go as expected, send out a message, and depending on what each individual does within that journey, we'll send them down a different type of path. We've got a really cool journey set up right now with organizational development. Travis is doing a phenomenal job, so we appreciate the partnership. Thank you. But something like Travis does is that there's certain classes that are set up, and participants need to do required reading before the class. So the individuals on the list will get the email through the journey. If someone does not open the email, or if someone does not click on a link within that email, a different journey will be started up. So if I'm in a class and my class starts next Monday, the journey started today, I got my email, I just kept ignoring it. Travis has set up that within 2 days of me receiving it, ping Michael again, ping him until he opens the email or until he clicks on the link so that I read the required reading. If I don't do either of those and I show up for my class and I'm ready to rock and roll, the instructor knows that I haven't done anything and could possibly say, goodbye, Michael, come back next time when you've done the prescribed reading that we need for you to do for the class. In the future, we've got two other great tools that we're going to focus on. Mobile Studio, which is mobile messaging, which can also be integrated with the Journey Builder. So Travis is super excited about that. We know today's day and age, everyone likes their cell phone, so if you don't read the reading or open the email, we can then create a journey that starts sending text messages to your phone if you've opted in for that. And then Social Studio. We all know the power of social media. It's coming. We're going to get there. Just some stats on where Yale Message is on the campus. First off, it's a kudos to the team. Today, or June, is our 1-year anniversary since we adopted Yale Message. And in that time frame, we brought on over 200 departments, trained over 750 people. We've got about 32 other departments ready to come on board. Another great success is up here. We are with the Yale brand, we've got the Yale font, and we are fully accessible, which we know is a huge requisite. Another great statistic, year to date, so in the first 5 months of this year, we have successfully sent over 30,000 emails to 34 million recipients. We've had an open success rate of about 40%, which is roughly about 8% better than it was with our previous tool. The other great feature with Yale Message is obviously the analytics. As Dan was referring to, pulling the data, understanding the data. With the analytics that we receive, we're able to identify who the targeted audience truly is and how they've interacted with us. So if you send out an email to, let's do my other number, 34 million people, which is pretty huge, but only 1 million people start interacting with you, you've now got your targeted audience. You know who they are, and you target them specifically. We are also able to get open rates, click rates. So you'll know who's opening your emails. We know who's clicking on the emails. There's a report within the email of which clicks receive the highest percentage of clicks. So what your audience is actually reading within that email. Over here, you can see a delivery rate. We strive for that 99 to 100% delivery rate. You find out why people are not receiving the emails. If it's a hard bounce, you can click on the hyperlink, and you can see if that email address was incorrectly written, or that email address just doesn't exist. Soft bounce, if a person's mailbox is full, Yale Message will continue to try send that email to the person for 72 hours, hopefully getting through to them. And then obviously a block bounce. Unfortunately, it's not much we can do with that in the real world. It's someone's gone out and specifically blocked you. We did work with Salesforce, and we keep up with Salesforce on whitelisting our domain name. Right now, our domain is message.yale.edu. It is at a higher whitelist than yale.edu. We're able to track it. We're able to push it. And we work with different constituents to make sure that emails get pushed through. And then some really cool features is when you start to get into your email engagement, you can see percentages of who's going to click on emails, who's going to open emails, so you get a true sense of how your community is engaging with you. And that's it. Up next, I'm going to hand over to James.
All right, so I'll be taking over to talk to you all about our calendaring and event management tools, also our room reservation system, and our survey tool that we use on campus. So to get started, we're going to take a look at calendaring and event management, which we support through Beadwork, Cvent, and CrowdCompass. Basically, what we're trying to do here is provide a common set of tools that will help in understanding your target audience's engagement, as well as to facilitate some policy adherence while meeting some of our critical requirements in this field around campus. So some of those requirements are going to be calendar publishing and cross-listing, submission and approval, also third-party integration. We're looking to do event and session management as well as payment processing, and then a mobile attendee experience, which is really neat, and of course, as we've mentioned a few times already, reporting on top of all of this. So I'm going to break down the difference between calendaring and event management just a bit, because we've sort of found over the years that there is sometimes a bit of a difference in what people sort of define as calendaring and also events management. So looking at calendaring, here we have our Yale calendar of events. This is also known as the Beadwork system. It's at calendar.yale.edu. And basically, this is our unified event hub for the university. It's a great opportunity for us to really be a part of the vision of a unified Yale here on campus. And it's intended to be the one place to go for all of the events that are taking place on campus. And in that way, it improves the experience for people that are looking to attend events on campus, as well as the general Yale community, and also some departments around campus, such as public safety and facilities. So it also improves visibility of your events, as calendar.yale.edu is calendar.yale.edu, and it's linked directly from yale.edu. So it really pushes people to come right to this calendar system and really market what is taking place here around campus. So with the calendar here, the requirements that we're trying to meet are going to be those calendar publishing and cross-listing, as well as the submission and approval. And then, of course, we have third-party integrations, which are really interesting, both custom, such as our integration with the Yale Arts Calendar, and also out of the box, such as our integration with Yale sites. And actually, I'll pop back there for just a moment. So in here on the left-hand side, we can see our landing page for calendar.yale.edu. And one thing to note about this is that the Office of Public Affairs and Communications is our functional owner for the calendar here. However, the individual groups who are posting events retain administrative ownership of their events. And some of the other groups that are using the calendar include the Graduate School of Arts and Sciences, the Macmillan Center programs, the School of Management, we have West Campus. We have approximately 100 different groups that are actually using the calendar currently. And so now, moving into our event management tools, which we support with Cvent here on campus. And Cvent is an event management system that automates and simplifies the entire event planning process. And it offers tools that run the entire gamut from venue sourcing all the way to real-time dashboards and reporting at the end of your event. So we can see here, it provides us with a number of different opportunities. In our lens here, some of the requirements we can see that we're meeting are going to be event registration and payment processing. Of course, we also have marketing, which is great and fits right in with some of our other tools. And then some of our add-ons, which are really neat, is we have an on-site solution, which Cvent calls their white glove service, where they send people down here to actually man your event, and they handle the registration process, where they will print ID cards, handle check-in, get everybody set up, etc. And something else that they offer, which is really cool, is live polling. So during a presentation such as this, you can actually get feedback from your audience and have an interactive discussion about something that you're actually talking about. So as Dan mentioned earlier, everybody here today had an experience with Cvent when they registered for the digital conference, right? And then a number of other groups around campus are using it as well. So the Office of Development and the Yale Alumni Association are two large users, as well as the Law School, School of Management. We also have athletics, which is really interesting. And then just a couple of the features that are inherent with Cvent, as we saw already with this lens here. So we have an online event registration program, which provides also a branded website experience, and then of course provides us that secure payment processing. The tool also allows us to manage our attendees, as well as our speakers and our exhibitors and our sessions. And then of course, it provides us with that robust reporting mechanism that is really required across all of our tools. So that steps us into our mobile attendee engagement or experience application. And this is CrowdCompass, which is a subsidiary of Cvent. And basically, it's a mobile application that your users can use while they're actually attending an event. And basically, what CrowdCompass states is that there's two primary reasons that people attend a conference or an event, and that's so that they can engage with your content and so that they can engage with other people. And CrowdCompass is really, really powerful for doing that, as it allows us to engage with our peers through social networking, and it allows us to engage with our content and our speakers through attendee and speaker tools that are available. The other thing that it provides is an ability for us to have another opportunity to engage our attendees with our brand in general. So we can see some of in our second bullet here, some of the items that are really useful within the system is going to be the session scheduling. We have speaker profiling, interactive maps, and push notifications. A couple of really interesting things that have been coming about lately is we've been seeing a lot of integration with augmented reality and wayfinding. So for instance, at a Facebook conference a few years back, they actually had one of these nice little badges here where you flipped it over, looked at it with your phone, and you had a 3D floor plan representation of the campus that the Facebook conference was taking place at. Another example we've seen is using your phone to sort of look where you're going and having a dotted line that's wayfinding you to wherever your location is. So for somebody that's really not familiar with the campus or the location, it's a great way. I mean, hopefully we still watch, and check both ways before we turn the street, or cross the street rather. But one really, really interesting thing that I find is that we see this statistic that on average, attendees for a conference check their phone 200 times a day. So if we consider that statistic, we can see how very easily CrowdCompass can become such a powerful tool. And of course, with CrowdCompass, some of the groups that are using this is Commencement, one of our biggest events that are taking place on campus. We also do the Yale-Harvard weekend. We have the School of Managed Welcome weekend. We have some orientations. So we have a number of sort of high-profile events that are being used through this application. And again, the great thing about this is it really gets right to the heart of your attendees, and it gives them an experience that's beyond just registration and understanding what's taking place. So moving on now, I'm going to talk about our room and booking management system. So this is the room reservation system. Some of you might also know this as EMS, which is event management system, as opposed to expense or emergency management system. There's no confusion with that at all, right? So basically, EMS is our space and booking management system. It also allows for some resource booking. One of the great things about this is it allows for granular access, and when appropriate, we can also do an automated user load. There's also an integration with Exchange as well as with Banner, and it's really powerful in its ability to provide us with some functionality around scheduling scenarios and optimization. And we also have, of course, API access, and let's see here. And then we, of course, as with all of our other tools, have a robust reporting mechanism as well. So we can see that there's a number of different things that EMS can do, and I like to call it a space and object management system because it's not really just about rooms anymore. In fact, the School of Drama is using this system to manage some of their vehicles that they allow for check-in and check-out. And in addition to the School of Drama, we also have the Law School, which is actually the group that implemented EMS on campus about 10 years ago. And then the School of Public Health sort of adopted it as well before it became centrally managed. And now we have about 24 different groups, including School of Management, who in all fairness, is managing their own instance of EMS. However, they are using EMS. And then we also are recently rolling out the medical library, YCBA, the art gallery, and a number of various departments around campus. So one of the most exciting things for me that are coming about right now is digital room signage. So digital room signage is a tablet-sized device that is installed outside of a space. And basically, it provides an application that shows you whether or not the room is available and what's taking place in that room over the course of the day. Also, if you choose to do so, you can have people interact with this device as they're walking up to a space. So if the space is available, somebody can walk right up and reserve the space. Or if you have a lot of problems with people not actually showing up for their reservations, you can actually require them to check in, so that way, if they don't check in, the space is released and somebody else can then use that space and you're not just sitting there with a wasted room. So this is an example of the application, and right now we have this also implemented in a number of places around campus. The School of Management is one really great example, and if you ever have an opportunity to go over to their site, you can see this on most, if not all, of their rooms within the building. Divinity has also implemented a number of these devices along with the Institute of Sacred Music. Nursing is going to be putting in about 80 or so as a part of their renovation process, and the the Cushing-Whitney Medical Library has also implemented a number of these as part of their renovation, which is actually, I believe, opening on Thursday. So if anybody's interested in seeing them there as well. And here I just have an image. We can see a couple of, and I'm sorry, I know this is probably not the most clearest image, but we can see that we have a couple of the devices here at SOM. We have one right over here, and we have one right over here. And with these particular pieces of hardware, you can actually see that there's an LED strip on either side of the device. So even if you don't walk right up to the device, from a distance, you can actually see whether or not a room is available and decide if you want to go ahead and go to that room and maybe have a meeting. And so that's going to then bring us into survey management and design. So for that, we use Qualtrics to support this need. And Qualtrics can do so many things, right? And we can see just some of those things right here. So we have student engagement, we have online course evaluations, we have dashboards, we have patient care, we have employee experience. And one of my favorite things, since this is sort of my area here, is that you can actually even use it for really simple registration and RSVP. Like, that's pretty cool. And so it's available to all Yale faculty, staff, and students for the business of the university. And in addition, it is approved for PHI data. And Qualtrics states that it is helpful in increasing the speed and the quality of our research. And overall, it improves our engagement, our experience, and our user satisfaction. And I think that's pretty much it for me. So I think I'll go ahead and turn this back over to Dan for him to wrap us up. And I thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks. Awesome. I think I just get the final thank you slides. So just wrapping this back to our forward-looking statement. So all the technologies that you saw, we are trying to actively knit those together into a Salesforce CRM so that we can start understanding the audience insights that we were talking about earlier. Which is really, really awesome, because then we can start to understand, it's like, that one person that comes into our community and how many different places that they actually touch and how many departments, and understand what their interests actually are so that we can better serve them. And with that, that's it. Thank you.